Today's episode answers the question, are you doing your fitness all wrong? Today I was in a coaching call with my lovely Healthy Heroes, and we discuss what to do when you feel like you're doing the right things but still not getting the results you want. And I want to share a little bit about that with you today. So, do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like you're doing all the right things but you're still not getting the results that you want? Maybe you've been exercising more, but you're still in the same size clothing and nothing in the mirror looks different at all, even though you feel like you've been working hard in the gym or taking those walks or starting that new exercise regimen. Maybe you're eating really healthy, even clean eating, but you still get digestive issues, your body composition is not changing, and it just feels like nothing's working. It is extremely frustrating. Not only do you feel uncomfortable, which is probably the reason that spurred you to exercise more, eat a little better, you also feel discouraged that it seems like no matter what you do, you can't get things to change. If this is you, if you can relate to this in any way in your health and fitness, keep listening, because I want to share with you, I'm going to break it down for you what is likely happening. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a doctor. Please consult your doctor. This is not medical advice, and it would take more detailed knowledge of your individual situation, of course, to know exactly what's going on. But I'm going to give you some frameworks, some information that you can apply to your own life, because it probably comes down to these 4 areas. And I'm saving the biggest one for last, because it's usually, in talking with people and discovering what's really going on, it's the biggest one. Okay, so let's start with number 1 out of 4, and that's food. Food, of course. And there are 3 areas in nutrition to focus on. So if you feel like you're doing the right things but you're not getting the results you want, maybe you want to burn some fat, maybe you want to tone up, maybe you want more energy, maybe you want to just feel better in your body, have less digestive issues. Here are 3 areas to focus on. It's so simple, it's almost obvious, but if you're likely off in one or more areas, it could be causing a domino effect. So number 1, check your energy balance. Your body needs generally a specific amount of energy, a certain amount of energy or a range of energy to function at its best. If you give it more than it needs, it just doesn't need that extra energy. It's like you have a storage room in your house, or maybe you put things in the basement. You can fill it up. You're not really using it. It just kind of hangs around there. On the other hand, you want to make sure that you're getting enough energy. A lot of the times when we're exercising really hard, we're eating really clean, our bodies are off, and it gets our hormones out of whack as well when we're not getting enough food. And this is more common than you might think. So check your energy balance. Am I getting enough food for my body's basic functions, your basal metabolic rate, or your body at rest, how much it needs to just survive and function normally without exercise and activity? And am I getting enough energy and nutrients for what I do beyond just sitting down and doing nothing? So check your energy balance. Number 2, check your macros. So we got protein, carbs, and fats. You're probably generally familiar with it. And in order to get into more detail, you might have to do some tracking a little bit. And out of curiosity, you can even adjust things. So if you're not interested in calories and you want to stay away from that, you could just focus on protein. There are tracking apps that allow you just to focus on protein, settings that you can choose that allow you to focus just on carbs and or fats, depending on what you want. But check your macros. You might be getting a lot of carbs and not enough protein, which are the building blocks of our body and that really give us the energy that we need. Maybe your healthy fats are out of whack and your brain's not functioning because you need some more omega-3s. So check your macros. And of course, I can't know exactly what it is that you're missing. You might have to do a little investigation on your own. If you would like to share with me and get a more detailed consult, you can message me at the links below. I'd be happy to see how I can help. And then number 3, check your whole foods. And what I mean by that is, how much of the food are you eating? How much of the food that you're eating, is it processed? Is it less processed? Typically, we want to go for the less processed foods closer to nature. We don't need to do it all the time, and there are definitely processed foods that are great for our bodies. It doesn't have to be completely whole foods all the time, but that can also affect our micronutrient, our vitamin and mineral levels. So we want to eat fruit with the skin on. We want to try to get those whole veggies. We want to try to get whole grains, seeds, and nuts, and plant proteins and proteins that are least processed, less processed than, say, like hot dogs and fish sticks. So check those things. Energy balance, macros, whole foods, that's the food. Now onto exercise. There are 3 things that we can focus on here because I like lists and I want to help you organize this in your brain. So we can check your type, your volume, and intensity. So what kind of exercise are you doing? You say if maybe you can relate to the when I said earlier that you've been exercising more but you're still in the same size clothing, nothing in the mirror looks different. What kind of exercise are you doing? You want to get a mix of all 3. You want to get a mix of cardio, strength, and mobility. Those are the 3 types of exercise we can categorize most and all movement into, except for NEAT. So you want to make sure that you're getting a little bit of everything. Check your volume. How much activity are you getting in all 3 of them? Typically, for low to moderate exercise, it's recommended that we get at least 2.5 hours a week, or a little over an hour of higher intensity. Are you getting at least that in a week? Maybe, in honesty, you're doing too much. Maybe your volume is too high for what your body can handle right now. Are you progressively overloading? These are some questions to ask. And then number 3, check your intensity. You want varying intensities. If you're not seeing the results that you want, and maybe you're getting started or restarted in a fitness routine, one of the first things, you want to build up to it safely with progression. But one of the things that I see lacking often if people are not getting the results that they want is not having enough high intensity with their workouts, not pushing themselves to that max effort sometimes. And you don't want to do it all the time, but 1 to 2 workouts a week where you're really hitting that max effort for a short period of time is really helpful for getting better results in not just your heart rate, but fat loss as well, and bringing that metabolism up, so to speak. You also want to have some low intensity days. Maybe you're on the other end where your volume is high, your intensity is high, and you're just overtrained, and your body really needs rest. Which takes me to number 3, sleep. Your body doesn't function at its best if it's not getting enough sleep. Duh, right? Of course, you know that. The truth is you could be eating and exercising like an athlete, you could be doing all the right things, but if you're not getting enough sleep, all of your results are diminished. Sleep is connected to our endocrine system, which is responsible for our hormones. It's connected to our brain. All of our main body functions, our big body systems that work, depend on sleep. So we need to get enough sleep, at least 7 hours, more than 6 ideally, 7 to up to 9 hours of sleep a night, and that's independent. You might be a little bit different, but you want to get enough sleep. Studies have shown that when muscle builders don't change anything about their routine except their sleep, they burn more fat and their muscles grow. I don't have the specific numbers there, but you can believe me and look it up yourself if you'd like. Sleep helps. And then the last one, this is the biggest one. If you know that it's not food, exercise, or sleep, and if you don't have any major medical conditions, and by the way, always check in with your doctor. This is not medical advice, like I said before. If you know it's not those other things that I mentioned, this is likely it. If you feel frustrated, tired, discouraged, it's starting in your mind. And this has to do with stress. So, stress. I talked about this before in a previous episode. You could go back and listen to that episode. Is stress making you gain weight? And I go over how stress works. It's in more detail there. But a lot of the lack of results or the discouragement, the frustration, comes from our perspective and our minds. And I know that sounds really woo-woo and it sounds oversimplistic, and you might roll your eyes at me a little bit. I'm kind of half rolling my eyes as I say that too. But it's true. Unfortunately or fortunately, it's true. And we have the power to change our thoughts. So check your thoughts. Here's some questions you can ask yourself. What kind of pressure are you putting on yourself? Like, what are you trying to attain? And why is it in such a rush? If you're trying to lose weight, how much weight do you want to lose? What does that number mean to you? Why are you attached to that specific number? Or maybe you don't have that much pressure and you're putting it in a different way. Maybe you are unkind to yourself in the words that you speak. Maybe you say mean things about yourself. Maybe you talk to yourself in a really critical way, and you might not even recognize it. If you could just give yourself some space to become a little more aware of your thoughts and what's coming up. How are you speaking to your body? How are you talking about yourself? Even if it's only in your thoughts, those things really make a difference. And then, so what kind of pressure are you putting on yourself? What kind of thoughts are you talking or using for your body and yourself? And then lastly, are you practicing enoughness? And I will say that this is I'm speaking to myself here, because this is something that I really struggle with, and it's come out in extreme ways with my food and my exercise in the past, with disordered eating and extreme behaviors, extreme weight loss. But it still comes up in my life in different areas. It's something I'm becoming more and more aware of and that I have to practice, and maybe you can relate. Practicing enough. When we're doing fitness, a lot of the times we have a goal. We want to improve, right? We want to make our bodies better. We want to feel better. We want to look better. We want to feel proud about our bodies and the clothes that we're wearing. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But sometimes it can never be enough. And we reach a goal and we keep going to the next goal, and we don't appreciate what is. Because I think the truth is that if it's never enough now, it will never be enough. So you can ask yourself, when will I finally be okay with my body? When will I finally accept myself? If that question kind of leaves you suspended in space, and you're thinking, yeah, that's a good question. When will I? When will it end? That's probably a sign to practice enoughness. You could be so strict and so perfect with your food and your exercise. You could be like, waving your hands while you hear it's like, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this. You could be perfect in all these areas, but you could be the farthest thing from healthy if your mind is not in the right place. And I'm going to just share a little bit about my personal experience here. When I am trigger wording, I'm going to mention disordered eating it in a little bit more detail. When I was younger and I was in the grip of my disordered eating, anorexia nervosa is what I was diagnosed with I struggled with it for years. I ate perfectly. I knew everything that was going into my body. I knew the nutrition quality of it. I would eat clean foods. I exercised well. And yes, I was in good shape in some ways. Like I had a low resting heart rate, and that's just one measure. But I was the farthest thing from healthy. I hated my body. I would criticize myself, and in the more extreme dark sides of that eating disorder, I was close to death, closer to death than I ever have been. So that's not healthy at all. It's not just about what you're doing on the outside, it's about what's coming up from the inside, because the externals don't work, at least not sustainably and effectively, when the internal is not dialed in. So that's why in my program, in the Holy Grail of Holistic Health, we start with hope. This is my framework for everything. We start with hope. The truth that you are already worthy and you are already powerful. And from there, that's where we take action, from a place of already enough, not doing to be enough. And that's where we change our habits daily, and we experience holistic happiness, and then from there, we get to enjoy true health. So it all starts in your mind. You have to feel safe in your body first. How do you do that? it's a practice, it's perspective, it's letting go. It's finding that, little bit, maybe it's 5%, 10% of you that wants to let go, that can see things a little bit more clearly outside of the fog of this perfectionism, and dropping into that and practicing it, even though it feels messy, even though it feels scary, and practicing that over and over again until that 5% becomes 6, then 7, 10, 20, 30, and it becomes bigger and bigger in your life. So I started this episode asking, are you doing fitness all wrong? And if you are listening this far, you've come this far, and if anything I have said resonated with you, please share. You can message me at Michelle and Roscoe on Instagram. You can email me, michelle@emmaroscoe.com. But before I let you go, I want to do a little exercise with you to feel safe in your body. So if you are in a place where you can let go, or maybe even pause and stop what you're doing. If you're driving, please don't do this. At least don't close your eyes. You can listen, but don't close your eyes. If you're doing something pretty technical that requires your attention, please stay focused. Or you can save this for later. Your choice, whatever you want to do. It's your phone, it's your device, it's your podcast episode. This is for you. Do with it whatever you want. But I want to practice just kind of grounding into your body and showing you what it feels like, or if you know what it does feel like, to practice it a little bit more today, and you're going to practice it with me. So once you're ready, just pay attention a little bit more to your breath. No need to change it. No need to force yourself to take a deep breath if that's not what you're feeling. Just notice the air come in through your nose or your mouth, and then out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how the air feels going in, and then how it feels going out. And if you do feel comfortable, again, you don't have to, but if you feel comfortable and you would like to do this, take a deep breath in, like slowly inhaling, and even more slowly exhaling. Let your exhale be longer than your inhale. If you do it 3 times, that's great. One more time if you are with me. Let things become quieter around you. Notice the sounds around you, my friend. My voice, your breath. Maybe even that pesky sound that feels like it's annoying and it's getting in the way of your blissful meditation. Just notice it. It belongs. Notice sounds that are far away, sounds that are close by. And check in with your body. Just do a quick body scan from your head to the top of your head, down your face, your neck, your chest, your arms, your fingers, your back and belly, your pelvis, legs, all the way to your toes. And feel the energy inside your body. Feel the aliveness in your fingers, your toes, your body. And from here, noticing that energy, find your center. Find the center of your chest. Find the center of your body. Find the center of your heart. Where do you feel the most grounded? Sit back there. Just settle in there a little bit more. And if it's hard to find, don't worry about it. Just find the closest thing to center. You might want to put your hand on your heart if that feels okay, even on your belly if that feels okay. You might want to extend your arms out as if to receive or be open. Taking another breath, noticing that breath. And notice how in this moment, without the worried thoughts or without getting too hung up on them, everything in this moment is okay. Go deeper into that One more layer. Everything in this moment is okay. You're breathing. You're safe. You can hear my voice right now. And in this moment, it is enough. You are enough. And the deeper you can get into this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment, the more you can tap into this groundedness and this safety. And this is something you can practice intentionally. And it's also something that you can practice throughout the day just by becoming a little bit more aware of your surroundings through your senses. Maybe that's looking at something a little more closely, listening to sounds, paying attention to your food, noticing where your body is in relation to space, and just letting go, practicing that letting go. When you feel safe in your body, notice how things feel different. How about going back to that feeling of frustration that I mentioned earlier? How about those thoughts of food and exercise and sleep and stress? Things just feel a little bit more aligned, like you shook things up and they settled down to where they needed to be. And if you don't feel that way, you could try this practice again or some variation of it. But the truth is, the answer to that question is, you're not doing fitness all wrong. You're not doing fitness all wrong. You're exactly where you need to be right now. You're exactly where you need to be right now. And with that, I'm going to let you go. Sending you so much love.